But first, and more seriously, the death toll in Victoria today, 25 dead from the virus, our biggest daily toll yet. That should actually be shocking. 25 dead in one day. But to even the far left Age newspaper, something curious, that record, 25 deaths in a day, wasn't even included in a headline summing up the big virus news today. His first interest was instead on the new infections, 282 in Victoria, which confirms a nice positive trend downwards from where the state posted more than 700 new infections. But it was like these 25 deaths were like, what do you expect, you know? And I suspect that's because, not for the first time, all these victims were old, in fact, many very old, all but two of them so frail that they were in aged care homes.
One male in their 60s, 4 females and 3 males in their 70s, 6 females and 4 males in their 80s, 4 females and 3 males in their 90s. 22 of those 25 fatalities are linked to aged care outbreaks.
Now, once again, this underlines the failure of our governments to do the basics, which is protect those most likely to die. Don't lock down everyone, protect the very old and the sick, and especially people in nursing homes. And then the question is, if we're talking about that, is the virus actually killing these people? Was it the virus, or did they actually die of something else? Did they die from the virus or die with it? And because there is a confusion here in the statistics. That came out last Friday when Premier Daniel Andrews announced the man in his 20s had just died of the virus, the youngest in Australia by far. Now, this is a tragedy for his family. I don't mean to diminish that. I want to talk, though, about the significance of this to the rest of us in terms of our understanding of the virus, because it was only when the Premier was questioned by the Australian newspaper's Rachel Baxendale that he conceded that the dead man may have had other deadly conditions.
Yeah, I guess we're trying to confirm whether he died of or with.
And what I'd say, that's a perfectly legitimate question. It's one that I have asked myself this morning, but I can't answer that, only potentially, but entirely a matter for Justice Kane. Potentially the only person who can determine that would be the coroner.
Now, we should really be told just what in fact did kill someone like that, so young. We need to know, understand this tragedy, but we aren't told. And that may suit some governments, of course, because, you know, not telling us helps to frighten the young into obeying all the bans. Obey or you too will die. But it does exaggerate the problem when Australia's figures for virus deaths include both people who died from the virus and also people who died with it, people who were perhaps already dying. In Britain last week, they corrected their figures for exactly this. Their official toll came down by 5,000 deaths. And this sort of stuff's important to know when you're trying to work out exactly who really is at risk of being killed and whether we should protect them rather than lock up everyone at all. Because today there was another sign of the damage that Victoria's bans were doing. Not just people going broke, not just hundreds of thousands more people thrown out of work, 1 million Australians in all, and not just suicides up. In Victoria, also an apparent rise in domestic violence, which is not surprising perhaps with desperate people now locked up hugger-mugger together.
Police have detected 4,436 family violence offences, including breaches of intervention orders and assaults. That's resulted in over 558 people being charged and remanded for family violence related or other criminal offences.
So these virus bans are meant to protect us, but at the same time they're hurting us. Now you take the restrictions that stopped a mother in New South Wales near the border with Queensland from going with her newborn baby to Brisbane when he was flown there for emergency treatment. No, you can't come, said the hospital.
This loving couple should be nursing their baby boy.
I just want him to know how much I love him.
Suffering complications, Harvey was flown to the Royal in Brisbane on Friday night. Chantel told there was no room in the helicopter, but they could come by car, so they got the paperwork, permission from New South Wales Health and border passes from Queensland Police.
protecting ourselves with bans or hurting ourselves. I think we need to be much, much smarter about all this and much more compassionate.